only problem we have is that we every problem comes to that same one problem, and that is that we mistake our self with the two, body and mind. Whatever you experience, you try to find a solution. It keeps you in that mistake, I am the body and the mind. Because we try to find a solution for something that happens. An example, I have a headache and I take an aspirin and the headache is gone. Then that's the solution of the problem headache. But both the headache and the medicine and the relief when it's over, this all takes place in our mistaken idea, body-mind. I believe that all problems have a goal, a lesson in it, that you are not caught in that little part of what the mind is giving you now and the body isn't giving you now, and tomorrow something else, and next year something else, and last year it was another problem. It is always problem of body and mind, but it keeps on giving you problems, this great being, this great wisdom that you are, because it wants you to get out of the idea, I am the body, I am the mind. As long as you don't feel that reality, you will be connected with the wrong idea, I am this body, I am this mind. And because you are on a way to liberation, to become free, this happens. If you see people around you who have nothing to do with spirituality and going, meditating and trying to find out who am I, the growth of people, you cannot say that they have problem and again problem for the body. It could be that they live a good life, a nice life, with nothing the matter, only a nice time and friends and holidays and money and tralali tralala, but they haven't started to turn the button from being body-mind to reality. But since you did, something in you happened, that you started to wonder, who am I? Then the road to liberation started, because who am I is the answer to the non-spoken question inside, the statement inside that knows, I am not this. And then on that road you start to purify all the things that keep you from being in that reality. Not the body, not the mind. And that's the goal of your lives. All lives lead to that goal. Even the people that you see around you that have no clue, and they just live their lives and tralali tralala, and they die and they come back. They too once will come to the conclusion, who am I? then that question starts their journey. So everyone will go through troubles and pain. And as long as you try to find solution for that trouble and pain that you have, then you find solution for the body and the mind that you think you are. I don't mean don't take an aspirin when you have a headache. Of course you try to feel good, but it is from another realm that this problem comes. It is from the idea, I am this body. And you will see that all problems point to that same mistaken idea, I am this body, I am this mind. And I can do something about this problem by taking an aspirin with the headache. But that didn't solve the problem that you are not in your reality, in your being what you are. It's just a little byproduct. I have no headache anymore. But you still think you are the body and the mind. So the problem is much bigger, although it is only very easy one problem. It's not all the problems that you will have in life and had. It is always points to that one feeling of separateness, and you make that feeling stronger by acting in that separateness for that separateness. Inside it is all known what you are. Inside you know what you are. And there is the solution for all problems in one palm. Makes me think of Ramana Maharshi. He said, when you have a bin full of dirt and you want to empty the bin, do you take out each piece of dirt, or do you throw it upside down in one? So that's the solution for I am this problem, I have a problem with my blah blah blah, and the next problem will come, and the next problem. I know I had so many problems and I will have more, I know, but slowly this reality, who am I? I am not that person, I am not separated. That will grow stronger and stronger, because you are that, you are not separated. So don't fix the problems in that separated idea. Have a good time, be happy, be happy. So you have to stay alert that when you lose yourself in your world of your mind, there will be something that awakens you. But if there is, for instance, a visitor, and it comes in your house, in your place, having your coffee, eating your cookies, and telling the story of his life, his happenings, and before you know it, you lose your own place in his world or her world. You are pulled into the world of the mind of the visitor. And then having the guts to say, I am not interested in your story, not because I am not interested in you, but I see you are living in a separated idea. Well, then if you can do that and they can appreciate it, then you have a real friend. But most of them are insulted and they they stand up and leave the house. Well, okay, that's good for you too. But it's really difficult to be honest and not rude to the other, because he comes at your place, taking you out of your world into his or her. And once it's enough. So you should not be polite. Then you feed the separated ego of the other and of yourself, because you don't dare to come out in your reality. And you are not the body and the mind. You are the true being. And the others feel something, and they like that radiation, and they come to you to feel that too. But they want to feel it in their own separated world. That's not possible, and you cannot make them understand that you don't help them if you keep on listening to the story. Well, I have it now so far that no one is coming anymore. Twice I had to be rude. That were people, very autistic people that just keep on coming. And one I had to say, well, you come and you talk and you talk, and I allow you to be here. You allow me? And then he never came back. And the other kept on coming, and I had to block the connection on my phone, on my WhatsApp. And then I had to take it out. This is also detail, I know, I'm aware of it. But I show that some are so stubborn, they keep on coming to you instead of going inside, find their own reality. Because that's what I say to them. Don't come to me for having a good time. Go inside and find your own self, because you now live in a separated world. Well, you know, the videos go about that, and it's just how life is. It's hard to be alone. No, it's hard to become alone. And when you are alone, you are happy. That's true. Because you are alone with your reality. Reality is in their own true real state. And then the visitors come and they take you out of it in their unreal state. So that hurts. You don't want that anymore. Maybe later, when I don't think Ramana Maharshi went away when people came to him. He was so generous, but he was very stable in his true self. And well, what about Sai Baba? Oh, he is the God of the universe, coming, and thousands of people all over the world came to his place with problems, and he was so patient to answer their problems and to help them. But still, he never lost his reality, and that's what it's an example for us. Not to lose your reality. Don't go in the fake world anymore. If you are in the nature, you feel the beauty of creation. But if you are in a room full of people quarreling and shouting and ego over ego, you know you had to go away. Go. And it's all about what you are. Not this mind, not this body. You are the real self. You feel it, you know it. Be blessed. it is amazing to realize slowly, slowly you begin to be less and less and less. That's the interest in doing things and actions whatsoever. It is completely gone. You have to stand up in the morning, but you think, why should I? And is that the ego? Or is that the self? Well, it could be the ego. Then it is a lazy one who doesn't want to move and a nice being in bed. But it could also be the self showing that all that you do in the day illusion is illusion. So you are in between. You are 75 years used to go out of bed in the morning, and that's what you do, even if you don't feel like it, because you can. There could be someone coming, or what will the neighbors say? That's ego. But anyway, you learn even to let that go. I don't mind what they say. I don't care what they think of me, because I don't even care what I think of myself anymore. So you notice that you become less and less personal. And that inside being that you are comes forward more and more. And then people say, when you know what you are, you will be happy in the day, because you are in contact with the real self, and the day is just passing a time. But that time is still in illusion. The world is illusion, the body is illusion, and you are still in it. So it's not easy to find happiness in the illusion. It's not even possible. But you feel that you are still in this world. And inside you know you have nothing to do with that world. Well, that's the state before really entering the formlessness. Starting to feel immediately, it feels good. It feels good to be in the state of you are still in illusion, but you don't care anymore. So you become not interested in the day anymore. You are prepared to go through and willing to experience what is coming. And in the meantime, you are stable in the self. And that will become stronger and stronger. So you cannot do anything yourself. It's light is not coming inside. Well, that's also illusion. Not the light, but the light in the room and the shadows that it makes. Everything that is happening only is happening in illusion. Because what you are has no happening at all. There's your peace. Happy is peaceful. Knowing the self. As you become more aware of the reality of this play of illusion, then you become aware of that fact that all it, that's to say, I am a mother with children and they have trouble, and I believe in God, so what do I do if I cannot do anything for them? I ask God to help them, and even if I have something that I can help, I still ask God to be good for us and for them, for especially to help them see what is going on and making them wise. And then that's good, that's the mother heart, trying to be good for the children. It's their own being in that form. That's true, but you are mistaken of your own being in the form. You pray for the ones that are the own being. Well, look at that. It is clear that everything is God's expression. So God Himself prays for Himself. So, in one flash of enlightenment, you see what you have done all those years. You will go on because it's that is what you have to do as a mother. You take care of the children and your family, and you pray for the welfare of the world. That's what you came to do when you found out that you were obedient to the love of God. And you know that God is in you, and He makes you feel the pain of others and the troubles, and then you want to help them. So first there is this distance, God is there, I'm here, and then my children are there. And then you come to feel that you want to help when they have trouble, and also all other people in the world. So your heart is growing and your wisdom is growing. You want the whole world to be happy. And then you notice that you asked guidance for your children, but then all of a sudden inside it is, you know that already, but it is a feeling, an experience. There is only God. God is the only one existing. So all the time God has been praying for Himself. Yeah. And why should He do that? Because He plays that He is in all those forms of Him, forgetting that He is God. And then He sees all those forms of Him suffer and stumble to be, to have a good, healthy life. And He sees all those forms of Himself growing to feel for others and to have compassion. And in all those forms of Himself, He sees His own wisdom growing. And now, as a habit, you start the day by praying for the children's welfare and for the world and for everyone, that they may see the light and may be happy. And then still, although you know it is God Himself praying for Himself, the prayer goes on, because that is the beating of your heart, that is the blood in your veins, that is radiating to be helpful for the ones who don't know. So that is the compassion of God for the forms He created and that lost the way. And when you pray, You feel you are that God, praying for the goodness of for your beings that are in the darkness or on their way. Well, that's what I experienced and still experience. There is this little voice in my head that says, you are not God. You are just a human being and you don't know anything. But that is the ego that is trying to not to drown in the ignorance that it is. Ego is ignorance and it stays ignorant. And still sometimes there is this voice coming up. You don't dare to say you are God. You are not God. You are a human being. You are not worse. It's blah, blah, blah. That's ego. And I laugh about it, but I feel pity for it also, because it is going under. And this God in me that is himself, the self is God. It is opening up and seeing every other being as that same self God being. So God keeps on praying for God till the end. Still say thank you, God, for making me know to lift me up, to lift the others up. That is good. Thank you deeply, God. What should I do without God? What should I do without my real self? I couldn't even breathe. Are you aware of your value, of your truth, of your importance, of your power? Are you aware of your greatness and of your goodness? Are you aware what is living in you and that you are that expression of that? You express your own goodness. You radiate your own goodness. Be happy. It makes all others happy. Thank you. When you realize only God exists, and all imagination stops to be like interesting or wanting something out of it. You imagine something you need, and you imagine something you want to avoid. You don't want to feel pain and you want to feel happy. That is all imagination in which the roles are played of the ones imagined. But since you grow out of this play by experiencing, as a matter of fact, all is the same imagination with billions of forms, but you can dive into one of those forms like you did in this personal human form you live in. You dived in it and your imagination made you believe the things happening that you had in this form. But it is imagination. And then you start to see the other imaginations around you, the same imagination with a different story. And because you don't know that, you follow the stories, your own story, you feel the happenings, the the sensations, the emotions in other people's story. And you live with them, you have compassion, and then, or you can be angry with them because they are annoying. But as a matter of fact, the more you realize where it comes from, this imagination, then you start to see it is all that same one God playing all these diverse roles of himself, trying to discover himself. And this can go on endlessly. First, you are interested in your own story. And that keeps on going. And you die and you have a new story, new body. And it goes on. And then you are not only for yourself, but also interested in the ones around you. And then in others, and then in the story of the world. That changes all the time, but you start to understand all that is one big imagination of the God who played, that he is in all those roles, discovering what he is. Now we come to the fact that there is only one God with billions of imaginated forms, and since you believed your form, you were separated. And now that you see all is imagination, not only your story, but everybody's story is the same one imagination. Like books. There are billions of stories, but they are all written in a book. The book is the tool for the story to be written in. And the form of the person is the tool for the imagination to be played in. And all this is done by the one writer of the story. And that's God. God is the name for all together in one formlessness. And that is what you are. There is only one God. So it is this formless being that imagines all stories over the planet and in the cosmos. This one being is the great imaginator, and that is you. It is inside all beings that he created. So why are you interested in all those stories? You have been, and you have listened, and you have seen it. That's to say, I can't remember. I was very interested in stories of others because I knew my own life. I didn't realize it, but I have always known that my own life is a story. So why would I listen to other stories? I was only always interested in the ones telling the truth. Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta Maharaj, those highly developed souls, they don't tear you in a story. They don't pull you in a story of imagination. They point you to get out. They point you to the truth, that one who makes the story. And nevertheless, the story doesn't matter. And when you feel that truth inside, then stories they are just stories. I don't read all the books of the world, and I don't want to hear all the stories of the world, because they are my own stories. They are my own. I made up this whole idea of being born, experiencing things, and coming back to the source. I made it up. I, as creator, as experiencer, I, as being lost in the imagination, and I, as coming out of that imagination, discovering the truth that I am. There's only this I, and this I is God. God allows himself to feel lost in stories, and discovering the stories are just a means to become reality. So why should you listen to old people's stories? They will take you in their story. And then you lost your own real self. God always stays God. He makes up all stories, but he is never lost in the story. He only knows that the ones in the story will come back to that God being that he is, and that everyone in this form on earth is. It is all the one God, this I am. I am is lost in all. I am this, and I am this, and I am that, and I am not this, I am that. I'm like this, I'm that. No, I am this is me, this is you. That all is scattered around in all stories of the one big creator, and that is your own real self. Stick to that and let all the stories once you heard one story, you heard all stories. Stay to the storyteller. That's what you are. Stay in your deepest real self. The God I am. About the stories, all stories are illusion. All stories are imagination of God. But of course there are so many different kind of stories. There are these personal stories of people telling what they don't like and what they like, and that all is not interesting. And then there are people that tell you what you have to be interested in the story that they heard somewhere. And that's not interesting neither. And then, because everything is a story, you could swipe all away in one blow and be the reality, the God that you are, the I am. But there are also stories of people about their personal experiencing their growth, and that is a kind of real story as far as it is possible, because they talk about their they're losing themselves. They talk about the God inside that takes them to the God inside. And this is in fact the best story, because they tell you what they have to endure, and they go on. They don't stop, they don't hesitate, they don't get back in sleep. They are really waking up stories of them. And that is very interesting because you feel that they are going on. Although they suffer, you feel the reality and the strength in their story, their power. And then I can bend my head because they had so much to endure and they did never give up. So for me, that is a beautiful story. It's the story of God in them. And it is not the story of the person that they think they are. That is, no, it is not for me. I had enough of those people that told stories of their pain and suffering and complaining, and that is so selfish, and I don't like. I can feel with them, but I don't like it. It takes me. I have to put myself in a sort of power to be able to listen, and I know I am not ashamed of it. At first I felt guilty, but when I compare it with Ramana Maharshi, he doesn't even speak. And when I see Nisargadatta Maharaj, he speaks, but only with the real searchers for reality, the ones who are prepared to lose their ego. And if you come there and 3-4 times telling the same things, he says, it is not the kindergarten here, you better leave, I don't want you here anymore. Because he sees that they don't make progress. So that makes me feel good, that the feeling that comes in me is the same. I don't want to be a therapist for people in a kindergarten. This was never my idea. I wouldn't talk about myself either much, but that is the only experience I can tell. I always have been going on. It's not me, it's the God in me who has this strength to get me through. Because I offered, I surrendered, I saw this God being, I felt it, and puff, there was no more ego in me that says, I'm afraid I don't want. So I feel a lot of ego in the stories of people. And I get, no more patience I have. That's my good right to feel that. I was ashamed, but not anymore. Ramana Maharshi says, only free yourself. That's the only duty. And even if it hurts people that you love. And Sai Baba says, he's the God of this entire universe, born as God. And he says, free yourself. The only duty that you have is to be good to the world. And the second duty is to be good to the self, to free yourself from the world. And when you have done that, you have freed yourself, then you are good to the world. Because the world will profit of your wisdom, even if it hurts. But this is not really exactly what he says, but it is what I remember. It is the truth. The only important thing in your life is to reach the self. And once you have reached that self, all other will follow. But that's not your business anymore. It is radiation of the truth. So that was about stories. If people have stories like that they offer themselves and that they accept and endure the pain that they go through, then that's for me. I bow to them. Be blessed. And what's more about people telling stories, it's not too bad that they tell stories, but the thing that bothers is you are not in the story, not in your own story, and certainly not in their story, but you see them totally being lost in the story. And I think that's something it's annoying. Of course, you treat, that's what Nisargadatta did. You treat them as being friendly and loved, and you see their struggle. But if you have had so many stories of the one same person, then you really have to stop him. And once he will understand. Doesn't matter if they think you are ugly and naughty and bad, and they will understand once. But when you do this to your own relatives, they have known you from your childhood, when you were like them in the story. And then later they see that you act different. They cannot understand. They think there's something the matter with them when they are sensitive, or they think there's something the matter with you, and that's most of the case. So what do? I don't visit them anymore, and they stay away. That's good. But there is this difference in the age. If there is a relative that is young and full of life and totally lost in the story of life, how do you treat those? You have to play with them and slowly point them to the fact it's just passing by. Don't be so fully lost in it. It will go away. I had the same experience. So it depends on who is telling the story also. If the one's coming back all the time at the door with the same story, boink, no more an open door, closed. And I did that for 10 years or more. So I had a lot of patience and whew. But there are other people, they think they are really developing to the light and still fall back in their story, and they come to you. So I really said I am not a therapist. I have my own I need my own energy to stay awake. So now I'm complaining a little bit, but whatever happens, I am aware that it happens. And that's what it is about. It's not about telling stories, but they are not aware that they tell it. And when I do, when the story is told from this energy, I am aware that I do it. And that doesn't mean I am better. No. It means I don't want the unawareness, the ignorance anymore from others. I just begin to be awake, and then the ignorance is bothering. It remembers me of my own ignorance, and I don't want to have that feeling. Just let it pass, it will go well. Believe your inner self, the power inside. That's the only thing I can say, and that power, the God inside, will guide you to this state of being awake. Then you will know all was the story. It was only a story, a dream. It was the growth of God Himself in all that what appeared and will disappear. It's the only thing that exists is God. Let that be your safe feeling. As a matter of fact, when you don't feel like doing something, that nothing is worth spent time, then that seems boring. But as a matter of fact, it is bliss. It means that you are coming out of the illusion, out of this dream story, and the one being in the dream story was always interested in being busy. First, you are not interested in the stories of others, and then you are not interested anymore in your own story. And then still the day starts, but you have no plan, you have nothing to do. And it can be boring. So you just sit silent, and then there's this flow of reality through you and covering you, and you are in it. That's a fact that you really stepped out of this dream world and did not really find the stable self-being. But anyway, you cannot stand the dream world anymore. So you prefer to sit and do nothing, and maybe it seems bored, but there is a power inside you going on, and it's a blessing to be bored, because then that's a sign that you lose your ego, you dream, you're being lost in this world of this insane world of happenings. You lost your interest, you lost your being lost in it. You lost being lost. Now the truth is coming through. That's the only thing. Be grateful. So if you feel bored, be grateful. Then other reality comes forth. This is also a story telling this. But there is something inside aware, that this awareness itself, this consciousness itself, moves itself towards its own reality, where is no story to be found. Leave the story. It is your freedom. Happy, happy, happy.